The lottery secret isn't the numbers. Say these 7 words before you buy. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that the ticket you hold in your hand is never the real transaction. The real transaction happens quietly in your own consciousness, long before any numbers are ever drawn. There is a verse in the Gospel of Mark, the 11th chapter, the 24th verse, and it reads like this: "What things soever ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them." And Florence Scovel Shinn would stop you right there and ask you to look closely. Do you see it? The verse does not say believe once you receive. It says believe that ye receive. The believing comes first. The receiving follows quietly after. And this is exactly where so many good-hearted people, maybe you among them, have had the whole thing turned backward. You have waited for the numbers to prove themselves before you dared to feel abundant. You have said inside yourself, "Let me see the outcome first. Then I will believe." But the verse hands you the order in the opposite direction entirely. Believe first. Feel the receiving now, in this present moment, and only then does the outward evidence have any door left through which to walk into your life. So let us claim this together right now. Before we go one step further, say it with me. Supply is flowing to me from expected and unexpected channels. I am the meeting place of my own good, and my word is my wand. Again, supply is flowing to me from expected and unexpected channels. I am the meeting place of my own good, and my word is my wand. If something in you just went quiet when you heard that, if some tired old part of you finally exhaled, then type the word abundance in the comments below. Just that one word. Let it be your small outward sign of an inward decision. Let it be your seal. The first key is this: the winning never begins at the counter. It begins the moment you decide inside yourself what kind of person you already are. Before your hand ever touches that ticket again, pause for a moment and speak 7 quiet words to yourself. I now receive my expected good fully. Let them settle into your chest the way a seed settles into soft ground. It is not the numbers that decide your worth. It is the state you occupy in the moment before you buy. Picture 2 people in the very same line, under the very same flickering lights. One is silently begging, shoulders tight, already rehearsing disappointment. The other stands just as quietly, but from an entirely different place inside herself, calm, unhurried. Already feeling the fullness she has claimed, they buy the same ticket, and yet they are not living in the same world. The beggar plants doubt with every anxious glance. The claimer plants supply with every calm breath, and only supply multiplies. Consider the man who grabs his ticket every week, the same rushed way, mind elsewhere, wondering why nothing shifts. It is not that the numbers overlooked him. It is that he never paused long enough to occupy the feeling of a man who already has enough. Now imagine him pausing 10 quiet seconds before he speaks to the clerk, feeling for a breath that he already belongs to abundance. That alone changes the whole transaction. So let your lips move first. I now receive my expected good fully. And let that be the true purchase. The ticket is only the receipt. The real exchange happened quietly in your own consciousness first. I speak my good before I ever ask for it. The second key is this: your self-concept is the invisible price tag on everything that comes toward you. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that we do not attract what we want. We attract what we believe ourselves to be, and this is a hard truth wrapped in a gentle mercy, because it means the numbers were never the problem, and they were never the answer either. If some quiet part of you believes you are the one who is always close but never chosen, that belief will keep proving itself right, no matter how many tickets pass through your hands. It is not bad luck. It is a self-concept running the show behind the curtain. A self-concept rarely forms in one dramatic moment. It is 1,000 small moments stitched together so quietly you never noticed the sewing. A childhood where money was spoken of in whispers. A house where someone said people like us do not get chosen. A single sentence that lodged itself and never left. None of it was chosen consciously, yet you have been living inside it as though it were law. Consider the woman who calls herself unlucky with money and somehow always misplaces the winning stub. Her hands are not cursed. Her identity is simply producing evidence to match itself. And consider her brother, raised at the very same table, who carries a different quiet certainty and finds small windfalls arriving almost casually. Same house, two entirely different self-concepts sitting down to it. Notice the small sentence that slips out when a bill arrives. It is not a comment on your circumstances. It is a vote for the self you have agreed to be. So this week, catch that sentence and quietly trade it for a truer one. Say instead, I am the kind of person good things happen to. It is not the ticket that must change first. It is the self-concept holding it. I am the one good finds easily. The third key is this. The tongue is not a passive instrument reporting on your life. It is an active tool building it. Florence Scovel Shinn called the word your wand, and a wand does not describe reality, it shapes it. So when you stand in that line and say aloud or under your breath, I never win anything, you have just waved that wand in the wrong direction entirely. It is not honesty to speak lack. It is not realism to speak lack. It is simply lack, repeated, reinforced, and rented out a little longer. Consider the man at the counter who has said the same 6 words for years. This never works out for me. He says it lightly, almost as a joke. But every word is a seed dropped into the soil of consciousness, whether he meant it seriously or not. And that soil does not ask permission before it grows what was planted. 6 words, spoken 1,000 times, become a harvest indistinguishable from prophecy. Now think of the woman standing beside him. She has trained herself to say instead, I welcome my good, small words, plain words, chosen on purpose, and a plain word spoken with quiet conviction outworks an elaborate wish spoken in doubt every single time. It is not the eloquence of the word that matters. It is the belief riding underneath it. So practice this deliberately this week. Catch the small lack sentences before they leave your lips, and replace each one, gently, with a sentence that feeds the supply instead of starving it. This is not pretending something false. It is choosing which truth you feed. Speak the flowing truth out loud if you can. Quietly if you must. Your word is still your wand even when your voice is a whisper. If this teaching feels like water reaching a long thirst in you, know that a deeper walk through these very steps, day by day, waits for you in something called the Overflow Covenant. But for now, let us continue. The fourth key is this, and it is perhaps the one most people never learn in time. You must stop watching the drawing with fear in your eyes. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that we are to deny appearances that are contrary to what we wish to see. And this does not mean lying to yourself about what is happening. It means refusing to let a temporary appearance rewrite a permanent truth about who you are and what belongs to you. Think about how most people watch those numbers roll across the screen. Leaning forward, breath held, stomach tight, checking each digit like a verdict being read against them. And when the numbers do not match, something inside them collapses a little further. Another quiet vote cast for the belief that they are simply not the kind of person this happens to. But here is what Florence Scovel Shinn would have you notice. That collapse, that flinch, that held breath, is itself a prayer. It is a prayer for more of the same, because whatever state you occupy most vividly is the state you are asking life to hand you more of. So let us walk through an ordinary day, the way it actually happens for so many people. Morning comes, and the first thought is about money being tight. By mid-morning, there is a small worry about a bill. At lunch, a co-worker mentions someone else's good fortune, and a flicker of comparison rises. In the afternoon, the ticket is bought almost as an afterthought. Hurried, half hopeful, half already defeated. In the evening, the drawing airs, and the whole body leans into fear disguised as excitement. By night, nothing has changed outwardly, but inwardly, an entire day was spent renting rooms in a house called Lack, and then tomorrow, the same rooms are rented again. Now notice what actually happened inside that body. During those few seconds, the numbers appeared. The shoulders rose toward the ears, the jaw tightened, the breath shortened into something shallow and quick. This is not an emotional reaction to a piece of paper. This is the body rehearsing an old belief with such familiarity that it barely needs the mind's permission anymore. Florence Scovel Shinn would tell you, the body always follows consciousness, so if the body braces automatically for disappointment, it is only because consciousness has practiced disappointment so faithfully that bracing has become its native posture. This is not a story about laziness or bad character. It is simply a story about attention, and attention is the currency Florence Scovel Shinn always pointed toward. Whatever receives your attention receives your energy, and whatever receives your energy grows. Consider now a woman standing at her own kitchen counter, television glowing softly in front of her. Numbers about to appear. She has spoken her 7 words that very morning. I now receive my expected good fully, and yet as the drawing begins, she feels the old tightness rising in her chest out of pure habit. And here is where the 4th key truly asks something of her, not to pretend the tightness is not there, but to refuse to let it finish its sentence. She breathes once, slowly, and says quietly beneath the noise of the television, I remain calm regardless of what appears. She is not denying the numbers on the screen, she is denying their authority over her sense of who she already is. This is the whole difference between a person ruled by appearances and a person who simply witnesses them. Here is the reframe worth carrying with you long after this video ends. It is not the losing that keeps a person poor in spirit. It is the daily rehearsal of losing, done quietly, done automatically, done without anyone ever noticing they were doing it at all. And it is not the drawing that decides your worth either. It never was. The drawing is only ever a mirror held up for a few brief seconds, and a mirror has no power to alter the face already standing in front of it. It can only reflect whatever is already there. So the 4th key asks you to interrupt that old rehearsal on purpose. When the drawing airs, do not lean in with fear, lean back with calm certainty instead. Whisper your 7 words again if you must. I now receive my expected good fully, and mean it regardless of what appears on the screen that particular evening, because the screen was never the source. It was only ever a mirror, and mirrors can be recalibrated the moment the true image standing before them changes. I remain calm while appearances shift and shuffle. Take a breath with me for a moment. If this teaching is reaching you at the right time, let it keep reaching you. Subscribe so the next lesson finds you too. The 5th key is this, and it is short on purpose, because sometimes the shortest truths cut the deepest. You must believe you are worthy of receiving before you ever ask to receive. It is not the asking that most people struggle with. It is the secret feeling underneath the asking that whispers, not really, not me, not this time. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that we must feel the wish fulfilled, and you cannot feel a wish fulfilled while quietly believing you do not deserve its fulfillment. So today, simply notice, without shame, whether some old quiet voice inside you believes wealth is for other people. Think of the man who wins a modest prize at a family raffle, and instead of smiling, immediately insists someone else deserved it more. He is not being humble. He is confessing his own private verdict against himself, and that verdict, spoken so casually, becomes the very lock on the door he keeps knocking upon. Or think of the woman who receives a small, unexpected bonus at work, and before the day ends, she has already spent it in her mind on someone else's need, never once resting in the simple truth that it was given to her. Worthiness is not arrogance. It is not boasting. It is simply agreeing quietly with the good that is already reaching for you. Florence Scovel Shinn would remind you that no river refuses to reach the sea because the sea once doubted itself. The supply does not pause to interview you about your past. It only asks whether you will open your hand. So when you find that old quiet voice, do not argue with it. Do not scold it. Simply outgrow it gently. The way a child outgrows a coat too small to hold her anymore. Say instead, I am worthy of ease. I am worthy of overflow. I receive without apology, and mean it a little more each time you say it, until one day it is no longer a claim you are reaching for, but a simple fact you are standing inside. The sixth key is this. Supply is not something you win. Supply is something you open a channel for, and channels can be open or closed, regardless of circumstance. Florence Scovel Shinn often spoke of the river of supply, always flowing, never stopping, moving toward every open receiver. With the same steady faithfulness, a river moves toward the sea, and she would have you notice something remarkable in that image. The river does not pause to ask whether you deserve it. It does not check your history of losing tickets. It does not remember every disappointment you have ever carried to that same corner store. The river simply flows, continuously, toward whatever channel stands open to receive it. The trouble is never that the river runs dry. The trouble is that we build small dams inside ourselves out of fear, out of past disappointment, out of the memory of every ticket that did not match, and then we stand confused, wondering why nothing reaches us, when in truth, we are the ones who quietly close the gate. Picture an ordinary evening. A woman comes home from work, finds an unexpected refund check in her mailbox, small, modest, nothing dramatic, and her very first thought is not delight. It is suspicion. She wonders what mistake will be found later, what bill will arrive to swallow it whole. She has just been handed a piece of the river, and without even noticing, she has begun quietly damming it before it reaches her hands at all. This is not a flaw of character. It is simply an old habit of bracing where receiving was meant to be. Think also of the friend who says she wants more money, but flinches every time she is given a compliment about her own resourcefulness, waving it away, insisting it was nothing. Or the man who says he wants abundance, but cannot receive so much as a free coffee without insisting on paying the person back immediately, as though every gift arriving must be repaid before it is even allowed to land. These are small dams, built quietly, built with good intentions, and every single one of them can be dismantled the moment you notice it. So this week, practice something deceptively simple. Practice simply receiving. A compliment, a kindness, a small windfall, a parking spot, a free sample, anything at all, without deflecting it, without explaining it away, without rushing to even the score. Just let it land, let it settle in you, the way water settles into ground that has finally stopped resisting it. Let yourself be someone good things are simply given to, without apology and without investigation. It is not receiving that makes a person lesser. It is refusing to receive that quietly proves a person believes herself lesser. And the river was never the problem. The gate was, so open it. Notice today, right now if you can, one small good thing you have been quietly deflecting, and this time, simply let it in. I open every gate between myself and my good. The seventh key is this, and it is the deepest one, so let us walk through it slowly, in pieces, the way you might walk through a garden you are finally allowed to actually see. First, consider that everything you have called luck was really only ever consciousness wearing a disguise. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that there is no such thing as luck in the way most people imagine it. There is only a state of consciousness that either aligns with supply or resists it. The person who seems to fall into good fortune again and again has simply, somewhere along the way, built an inner climate where receiving feels normal, expected, almost boring in its steadiness. And the person who seems to be chased by misfortune has built an inner climate where lack feels normal instead, expected, almost comfortable in its familiarity. This is not destiny. This is architecture. And architecture can always be redesigned by the one living inside it. The lottery secret isn't the numbers. It never was. It was always the quiet architecture standing behind the numbers, unseen, unquestioned, faithfully producing whatever it was built to produce. Second, consider what it means that the tree's true life is underground, out of sight, unseen by anyone watching only the branches. When you look at someone's outer circumstances, the job, the bank balance, the house, the ticket that finally paid off, you are looking at branches. You are not looking at roots. And Florence Scovel Shinn would have you tend the roots relentlessly, because branches follow roots. They cannot do otherwise. A tree does not produce fruit by staring anxiously at its own limbs, demanding they hurry up and bear something. A tree produces fruit by quietly, faithfully, continuously drawing up what it needs through roots nobody applauds. Your roots are your private thoughts, your unspoken assumptions about yourself, the sentence you rehearse in the shower, the story you tell about your own luck when no one else is listening. Tend those, and the branches eventually have no choice but to follow suit. No gardener stands over a root system shouting at it to hurry. The growing happens in the dark, in the quiet, in the place no one else is ever invited to watch. Third, consider the specific and dangerous habit of watching your progress too closely, the way an anxious gardener digs up a seed daily to check whether it has sprouted yet, and in doing so, kills the very thing being checked on. So many people plant a wish beautifully, speak it with real feeling, and then immediately begin monitoring every outward sign for proof, checking the mailbox, checking the numbers, checking their bank account, checking, and each check is a small, unspoken confession of doubt, a quiet vote for the appearance instead of the truth. Picture a woman named nothing in particular, someone very much like you, or someone you already know, who speaks her 7 words in the morning with real tenderness, and then spends her lunch break refreshing a results page on her phone 11 times before the drawing has even aired. Each refresh is a tiny prayer for lack, dressed up as diligence. Florence Scovel Shinn called this interfering with the answer to your own prayer. It is not diligence, it is impatience wearing the mask of diligence. The seed needs darkness and stillness far more than it needs your supervision. Let your desire rest undisturbed in the rich soil of a calm, expectant faith, and check on it far less than your anxious habits currently allow. Put the phone down. Let the darkness do what darkness has always known how to do. Fourth, and this is the turning point of the whole 7th key, consider that the winning you are actually seeking was never the money at all. It was the feeling you believed the money would finally deliver: safety, ease, proof of worth, freedom from a certain quiet fear. And here is the mercy hidden inside that realization. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that you may claim the feeling directly, right now, without waiting for the money to arrive first and deliver it to you secondhand. You can feel safe today. You can feel worthy today. You can feel at ease today. Not because your circumstances have already proven it, but because you have decided to occupy that state on purpose. And here is the marvel of it. That state, occupied faithfully, is precisely the soil every outward supply eventually grows from. You are not waiting for the tree to feed the roots. You are feeding the roots so the tree can finally bear fruit. And once you truly see this, the whole chase quiets down inside you. You stop begging the branches for fruit and start tending what was always underground the entire time. This is the whole of the 7th key, gathered into one hand. Believe the feeling first, tend it in private, refuse to dig it up daily to check on it, and let the branches take their own good time catching up to what the roots have already decided. My roots are calm, and my calm is already my harvest. The 8th key is this. Once you have spoken your word, once you have claimed your state, you must release it the way you release a balloon, not the way you release a hostage you still secretly wish to control. Florence Scovel Shinn taught the importance of what she called the perfect release, letting your desire go into what she named the divine adjuster, trusting the outcome to arrive in the right way at the right time without your constant gripping hand upon it. So many people speak a beautiful affirmation in the morning and then spend the rest of the day white-knuckling the outcome, checking, worrying, rehearsing disappointment just in case, as though bracing for pain were somehow protective, but bracing changes nothing except your own peace. It is not surrender to release your desire after claiming it. It is trust finally being given room to breathe. Think of the difference between a woman who plants a garden and then digs it up nightly out of anxiety, and a woman who plants the very same garden and then simply waters it with calm attention while living her life fully in the meantime. Both women want the same harvest, only one of them is actually creating the conditions for it to arrive. Consider, too, the man who buys his ticket on a Tuesday evening, speaks his 7 words with real feeling, and then spends every remaining hour until the drawing replaying the moment in his mind, imagining the numbers, imagining his own face checking them, imagining disappointment before it has even had the chance to exist. By the time the drawing actually airs, he has already lived through the loss 100 small times in his own imagination, and each time he lived it, he was practicing it, rehearsing it, making it more familiar to his own nervous system than the very outcome he claims to want. This is not desire. This is anxious repetition dressed up as hope. And Florence Scovel Shinn would gently ask him, whose hands is this really in right now? Yours or the divine adjuster's? Release is not abandonment. Release is not forgetting. Release is simply refusing to finish your own prayer with your own frightened hands. A farmer does not stand over the field pulling at the stalks to make them grow faster. He plants, he tends, and then he trusts the sun and the rain to do what his hands were never built to do alone. Your work was the claiming, the speaking, the believing. The outcome's work belongs to something wiser than your worry. This week, after you speak your 7 words, practice letting the sentence finish itself. Practice walking away from the ticket, from the number, from the outcome, and living your ordinary day fully, cooking dinner, laughing with someone you love, doing the next right thing in front of you. This is not indifference. This is faith, wearing a relaxed and unclenched hand. The tighter the grip, the smaller the miracle it can hold. So loosen your hand tonight, and watch what a loose and trusting hand is finally able to receive. I release my desire into perfect and unseen hands. The 9th key is this, and it is the gentlest one to close on. Gratitude is the final seal on everything you have claimed so far. Florence Scovel Shinn taught that the grateful heart is always close to abundance, because gratitude is itself an admission that your good has already begun arriving, in forms you may not have labeled yet as the answer. It is not gratitude that waits for proof, it is proof that waits for gratitude. Consider the man who comes home tired, sets his keys down, and immediately begins listing everything that did not go his way that day. The traffic, the bill, the silence from someone he hoped would call. He falls asleep in that state, and wakes the next morning still standing in yesterday's rooms. Now consider that same man, same house, same tired body, choosing instead to name 3 small, unremarkable things before his eyes close. The warm coffee that morning, the stranger who held a door, the sky doing something quietly beautiful on his drive home. Nothing outward has changed, and yet everything inward has, because he has just told his own consciousness what kind of world he lives in, and consciousness always believes what it is told most often. This is not a small bedtime ritual, it is the daily maintenance of a receptive state. And a receptive state is the only real soil your 7 words can ever truly grow in. Gratitude spoken before the answer arrives is not pretending, it is recognizing the answer was already quietly on its way. Say your 7 words once more. before you rest tonight. I now receive my expected good fully, and let gratitude be the last thought you carry into sleep. My heart is grateful before the answer even arrives. Here is the whole picture, gathered into your open hand. It is not the numbers that decide your fortune. It is the state you occupy before you ever choose them. It is not luck that follows some people and abandons others. It is a self-concept quietly proving itself correct again and again. It is not honest to speak lack and call it realism. Your word is your wand, no matter how quietly you use it. It is not fear that protects you while watching outcomes unfold. Calm attention protects your peace far better than dread ever could. It is not unworthiness that keeps good things away. It is the quiet refusal to receive them fully. It is not the dam's fault when the river feels absent. The river never stopped. Only the gate needed opening. It is not the branches that decide the harvest. The roots were deciding it all along, in silence, out of sight. And it is not gripping that finally brings the answer home. It is the release, followed faithfully by gratitude. Every one of these was never 9 separate keys at all. They were 9 turns of a single truth, that your consciousness, and not the ticket in your hand, has been writing your story from the very beginning. If you want to walk through all of this more closely, with daily practices, guided affirmations, and a steady hand beside you each morning, the Overflow Covenant was built for exactly this. It is a gentle, structured path through every one of these keys. Deepened, expanded, made practical for your actual week. It is available today for $37, fully covered by a 30-day guarantee, so there is no risk in saying yes to your own abundance. The link is in the description below, waiting quietly for you, the way supply always waits. Patient, unhurried, already prepared. Say it with me one final time. Supply is flowing to me from expected and unexpected channels. I am the meeting place of my own good, and my word is my wand. So the next time you stand at that counter, ticket in hand, remember the secret was never hidden in the numbers at all. It was hidden in the 7 quiet words you finally learned to say before you ever bought a single thing.